Welcome to Collective SOULversations. I'm Jody Jones, and I'm thrilled to have you join me on this amazing journey exploring spirituality, healing, and personal growth. With over 15 years of experience as a psychic medium and energy healer, I've made it my mission to help people connect with their true selves, and I can't wait to share this journey with you. In every episode, I chat with incredible guests who bring their own unique stories and insights to the table. We dive into different tools and practices that can help support you on your path of self discovery. So, whether you're just starting out or you've been in this journey for a while, Collective SOULversations is all about creating a friendly and welcoming space for us to explore the mysteries of the soul together. So, grab your favorite cup of tea, get comfy, and let's dive into this enlightening adventure together. Hey, everybody, welcome to Collective SOULversations. I'm your host, Jody Jones, and I'm going to call her a friend because we've had some time to get to know each other. She was a pretty big part in my healing journey a few years back. And she holds so much space for everybody who's going through everything ascension wise, adapting as these light beings that we are. So I'm super, super excited to bring her here. So I will give you a little bit about her and then I'll let her talk for herself. So Nicola is my special guest. And she is a Reiki Master, a Galactic Shaman, intuitive healer, and a soul to soul mentor. Pure channeling her higher self and multidimensional aspects, Nicola balances with her ego mind into the remembrance of her light. Welcome, my friend. Welcome, Nicola. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a while since we've connected, and it just seems like we've just been speaking last week. It's crazy, isn't it? How
I
we
I know, right? It's very interesting because I can remember when I first met you as well. And I mean, I met you because I was going through some pretty significant ascension stuff, right? My light body was not fitting so well. so, so I came to get some work with you. And I had the same thing when I first met you. I was like, my body knows this soul. Your energetic imprint was so familiar to me, and I'm very, very picky and selective as to who I let work with me energetically because, of course, you know how sensitive I am. But
Mm.
every single time we would work together, I would get pieces of the puzzle. I would feel different. There would be big shifts. So I thank you so much for the part that you played in that. And I'm so glad that we can reconnect so easily like we are now.
Yeah, so beautiful. Yeah, it was my pleasure, and it was a wonderful journey for myself as I evolved through my practice with you, and it brought me a lot of information as I was sort of aligning with the physical body, within your physical body, and what the energy was doing. So it taught me a lot in that I started to remember a lot to do with the energy flow, the physical body, the emotions that's held within the body, and all that went with it. So it was a real big learning journey, and having you with your high vibration and sensitivity really sort of pushed my limits as well of what my capabilities were. So I'm always grateful for our connection.
Yeah, you make it sound so eloquent and so beautiful and so, but I'm telling you, for the 50 healers that I worked with in the last couple of years while I was going through all my stuff, they would say things to me like, I've never experienced anybody's energy like this before. I'm not quite sure what that is. I don't. Do you? They had. So you were one of the few that when I worked with you, you were like eight. Because I'm telling you, I would connect. And just for anybody who's kind of new following my stuff, when I was 2.5 years ago, when I was like down and out and I was going through my dark night of the soul and my Kundalini awakening and you name it, I was going through it. I like almost completely lost full connection with my team, with my spirit team. And you guys know when I talk how they're like my right hand. So imagine you lose this. And so I would literally pray before I was going to go see somebody like Nicola. And I would be like, please use them as a channel. Please allow them to be able to receive with clarity everything I need to know right now, because clearly my channel's broken. It's not working.
Taken
And
offline.
yeah, 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 they took me offline for sure. And I'm telling you, there was very few, but you were one of the people that they actually used. So when I went to you, it was literally the truth coming through. You were receiving the downloads, the light codes, the connections. It wasn't a bunch of BS. You weren't just giving me a cookie cutter, here's what's going on. Oh yeah, that's it wasn't like that. So I'm thankful that they were able to use you to help with my healing for sure, because I know I'm not an easy client to
Well, you could say you are. You are. You're pleasant to work with, put it that way. Very
Oh, thank
pleasant
you.
and
Thank you.
open to receive.
I
So,
appreciate that so
yeah.
much. So now that we've got this like kind of big build up for you, so
Mhm.
here's Nicola, here's her power, here's all the stuff that she can do. She's the real deal. Now let's go back in time. I want you to let our listeners kind of know who you are, discover how you get, because I'm telling you, you don't end up being a light worker on this planet at this time and a healer without coming from some pretty interesting stuff. You don't
Mm.
just wake up one day and go, yeah, you know what? I'm going to be that weirdo that like downloads energy and light codes and connects with the galactic being. You don't do that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
take us back. I want to know the very beginnings of it. Like, take us into some of your hardest human stuff that like projected you and propelled you into the path of being the healer that you are.
Oh, yeah. It's been quite a journey over the years. I would say it probably started many, many years before I even thought of any of this, if that makes sense. So it started, if I could say, at the age of 5 when I had an NDE and I actually drowned as a 5-year-old. And I woke up on the beach with people around me. And it's only really when I got to in my early 50s that I um, started to question my reality. So it's like it's almost slightly disjointed with where did it begin and where did it actually really start, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. And for those of us who don't, so the NDE is the
it's a
near death
near death,
experience.
yeah, near death
Yeah. So
experience.
five
Yeah.
years old. I didn't know that. It,
I've actually talked to many people that at that age, around about that age group,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
we have an awful lot of star seeds come into a physical body at that point.
Hmm.
And this is what I've discovered as a result of actually unpacking my healing journey of
Yeah.
what actually happened because I can't remember anything before 5.
Right. That's so interesting, because for me it
Yeah.
was 3. And so I've been told it. So my father passed away in a car accident when I was 3. My mom and my self were in the car accident. And so, through channeled sessions, and I've been told that I had the near death experience then too and came back. So that's very interesting how,
Mm, it is. Oh, I've got all tingles as a result of that. It's like
yeah.
running through me right
So it's
now.
like a
So
rebirthing.
yeah.
It was like we came, and again, and I don't have any memories from that time prior. It's like
Mm,
completely washed for sure.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. So it'd be
Yeah.
quite nice to, if anyone would like to comment and let us know if you've had the same sort of thing, because it really is a very common place actually. There's an awful lot of starseeds that don't come into the original fullness of who they are. So it could be seen as a bit of a walk-in to a certain extent, but it feels like there's this sort of injection of a starseed fragmentation that comes in for the soul to lay dormant. So
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
lay dormant within me, and then during the childhood, I just really felt that I didn't want to be seen. I was very sensitive. I didn't speak to anybody. I was really much a loner. Within my family, I was a little bit louder. I was very different to all of my family as well. I was really sort of very sort of skinny sort of child where the rest of the family wasn't. And so I really felt that I didn't fit in with many, many people. Um, and then through the journey, I sort of got married really young. I had my family after 12 years after being married. So I had children later on, had the children. Then there was this big life trauma that came in. It was, I won't go into the details of it, but it was sparked off by the loss of my nan that I was really, really close with, which was my mother's mother. And then there was a big trauma that happened with my mum and dad that then literally sort of wiped my nan, my mum, my dad off my understanding of my family. Everything split in two. It
Wow.
created a big family rift where there was this side of the family, everybody blamed me for finding out about this particular subject, and it all got broken down, and it led me into a real deep space within myself of not being happy within the marriage, to be honest with you, even
Right,
from the
right.
very beginning. It's very much a karmic, sort of instant, okay, I'm marrying you sort of energy at the
Yeah.
age of
A way
19.
out, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So not saying it wasn't a great marriage, but it got to its end of its time, and we're
Right.
not together now. So
Yeah.
and I wish him all the best and everything. He doesn't necessarily think same thing to me, but that's another subject.
Right, right. Yeah.
He thinks me mad. Um, and it was that sort of time, in that period of time, what everything just crumbled. Everything crumbled. Friendships went, family, children went off the rails a bit. And I remember with my mum that she always really wanted to go to the spiritualist church and um, go in and get medium connection. And sometimes we would go to little spiritual gatherings and, this sort of thing.
Right, right, right.
Um, so there was this draw to go to this tiny little chapel that was in my hometown, and it was at that point I was like, I've got to go, I've got to go. So I went, and there was this wonderful older lady that was there, and everything she said was what was happening in my life, and I was
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
wow. And it sparked me into, I've got to find out more about this because there's something in this.
Right.
And so with that remembrance that sort of came online, I then started going to meditation. And with the meditation, it was only once a month. And then once a month, I was turning up and thinking, oh my God, I love this, I love this. Started to feel energy coming in, connecting, getting messages come through. And I was like, whoa, started joining groups, started searching on the internet, sort of doing my ironing and housework.
Right.
Because I was
Trying to maintain
really,
your normal life at the same
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I was searching like a sponge.
Right.
Then I did a Reiki course, became a Reiki Master. And after I took that course, is sort of opening up with the beautiful chakra ray and the master codes that come in, I had this deep crying phase of my life where every time I meditated, it was like I was crying. I had a Kundalini awakening where I physically felt that energy move up. And then my hands started moving. When
Wow.
I was doing Reiki, my hands started doing all these funny movements. I wasn't a hands-on. My hands always wanted to be above the body. And so I'd watch it and think, that's a bit strange. Does this supposed to happen like this? I
Right.
was like, there was nobody
But
to
nobody
ask.
else is doing it. Right.
I was like, I went to a Reiki share, Jodie. They
Right.
was all standing there like that. And
Right.
then the
Very
ping, ping,
calm,
ping
very,
music.
yes.
And then they all went round. There's me.
Right, right. I know. Yeah. That's for if anybody's never done Reiki before, it's a very kind of passive, it's beautifully
Mm.
powerful, but it's very passive, right? You're just holding space, your hands are not moving, you're touching or you're holding. And if you guys get a chance to see Nicola do her work, it's not it does not look like that at all.
No, it doesn't look
No,
like it. I
no.
even spoke to my Reiki master and I said to her, look, Jenny, look what I'm doing here. And she was like,
Right.
what are you doing?
What
And I
is
was
that?
like, all right. So my hand started going, and then this hand was going, and then I thought, well, does this hand go? And then this hand was started going,
Right.
and then of a night time, my hands would come up underneath the cover, and then I'd start coding myself, and I was like, what's going on?
Wow.
And then about 6 weeks after the hands started to activate, then I sat up in my bed one night, and luckily the husband at the time was away on a business trip, so luckily he was. I think they timed it divinely.
Right.
I sat up, and these words were coming out of my mouth. I was like, what is going on?
Right.
And then I searched it through. found it was what some people might call speaking in tongues, and I was like, well, what's that then? And then people then were saying, well, it's light language, as a version of it. You could be perceived to be the soul essence moving through you. And then I started to research deeper and deeper into that, and then my guides were coming online because I started coding myself. So the codes that come forward are codes of vibrational matches to aspects of myself. So it's me channeling me through code. So rather
Right.
than it be spoken out in English, in French, in German, whatever language we've learned,
Mm-hmm.
it's language of the soul coming forward, but they have different dialects depending on the origin of the consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a Palladian aspect of myself that would hold more of a nurturing, emotional state perspective. Arcturian holds a really fast, technical upgrading of what I call the template of the energetic field. So all of these aspects started to come online in me. And so I started then speaking different codes, signing different codes all over myself all the time. And every time I did, I started to understand what it was that I was doing. Then the codes then started coming in, and I started to actually interpret what the codes were saying as a point of a medium into what it is that my guides were trying to tell me. And it
Mm-hmm.
was such a wonderful journey, which has brought me to this point where I am now, where I help people that have started on their light language journey, where they've either spontaneously invoked their emotion, their codes out, and they want to
Right.
know what they're doing,
Right. Right.
or during a session with me, they align to that, and then I activate them, and then they spontaneously start to code.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So my whole journey's been sort of so wonderful, and I love the way that it's happened. It's very organic. It's very innocent in its way. I haven't read any books. I've had a little bit of reference points to
Right.
understand what it is that I'm doing, but
Right.
everything's come on very naturally, which obviously
Yeah.
is part of what
You know,
I
and
asked for when I came through.
yeah, and it's so interesting the way that spirits is showing me this kind of like unfolding of it because they okay, so if we go back into, the issue with the family dynamic and how that, that was like a pivotal moment. But interestingly enough, unlike in my case, they didn't take away your family members. So people didn't pass, they didn't leave. So they actually left you having to deal with all of the human stuff energetically, which is interesting. Whereas in my case, they kind of like removed some of those players from my path going forward. And then very interesting how when they brought you to the point of becoming online and receiving the codes and the language, that they had you doing it on yourself first. I just
Yes,
as my if my team's listening out there, can you like see for future reference, like let's bring the healing in first to us first.
it's massive. It is such a massive statement to make. And it is so right. And this is what I teach all the time. We must, as healers, see that we are healers only of ourselves. We are only healers. I am a healer, yes, of myself.
Right.
But I show people and present to people how I've done it, and I align my energy to that individual for them to receive. So we must be empowered to know that whatever we've been presented with synchronistically by our higher self, that this person has come into your life so that you can heal yourself, but then this person here, such as myself and Jodie,
Yes.
would be here to hold space for you to evolve through it. So we
Yes.
must never give our power away. We must always see that it's us that is doing the healing,
Yes.
and we change it slightly for the way that we work, to remember for us to then step up and be of service to show others how they've done it,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that may be, so with your mediumship and the moving into the medical medium, it's that journey of that gentle unfoldment is the opportunity for us to see how is it that we can morph and change and be empowered on with our healing journey.
Right.
It's so
And that's so
important.
huge. And I hope that
Mm,
anybody who is a light worker or who is in the energy medicine, energy healing, I hope you're hearing what Nicola's saying, because it's not the way I did it. Like, I had my, I started in 2008 into this kind of like world, doing traditional Chinese medicine, my acupuncture clients, like I had patient, but I was talking the talk, but I was not walking the walk. So I
mm,
was literally, having, because of the, the empath in me, I was bringing everybody in to fix and to heal, but I was putting all of my stuff last.
yeah,
Like, and obviously I had to learn that lesson, because Spirit's just saying, you get stuck in these holding patterns, these repetitive holding patterns of doing this.
yeah,
And, I'm just saying for future reference, you don't have to do it the way that I did it. You have to learn how to, do more of the, again, yourself first, foremost.
yeah,
So in the way, if I had been, and I mean, I was, to an extent, I was using acupuncture on myself. I was. But here's the thing, for some of us, when we are called to show up, we have to show up at 100%. You know what I mean? Like halfway is just not going to cut it. So
yeah.
if we're not doing, the physical body support, the emotional body support, the spiritual body support, if we're not doing all of these aspects,
Mm,
Spirit's just saying it will crumble and fall.
yeah,
you,
yeah,
you will crumble and fall for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. It's so, so important that if we're showing up, as you said, and just to reiterate, is we must come forward with a filled up cup.
Yes. Yes,
We can't be
exactly.
on half steam. I cannot hold physically the frequencies that I can connect to unless I clear my energy flow, keep on tip top with what I eat, what I watch on television, how I speak, everything has
Hmm.
to be 100% living it. And if
Right,
I
right.
don't, then my physical body will react to it. So if I haven't stretched before I go to bed in the evening, I
Hmm.
wake up and the body starts to want to move the legs about a bit, and then I have to put the legs in the air and start stretching the legs out so that I'm running the energy through.
Right, right.
So sometimes, yeah, sometimes I'm human and I think, oh, I'd be okay, it'd be fine, I've stretched a
Right,
little
right.
bit here and there. But if I'm not, then I pay the price for it.
Absolutely.
So we must see that yes, we're energetic beings, but the healing, and when I was told this by my higher self, I was like, oh my God, that's so perfect. The healing is healing, meaning HEEL. It's the energy that runs down the back of the spine, down the meridian lines into the heel of the foot.
Wow.
So if we're running the energy from the top of the head all the way down the subconscious body, which is the back, all the
Hmm.
way down the spine, it has to anchor into the heel of the foot for the full embodiment and the clearing of the energy to run through the body. And when I heard that, I was, whoa, it's
Right.
the healing journey. It's the movement. And you'll understand this with your acupuncture. It's the movement of the energy all the way down the spine, all the way down into the body itself, the embodiment. And
Hmm.
we sort of, it's so hidden in plain sight that until we get that little light bulb moment where we think,
Right, right.
oh, it's
Yes.
healing.
Right. Yeah. And it's so, and what you're saying is huge. And if anybody that's listening that, experiences the ascension symptoms, like on days where we have all of that big energy coming through, and, you're feeling the anxiety of it, or you're feeling, the out of body, all of the, since the symptoms that we have, it's because all of that energy is coming in. It's huge frequency and it has to
Mm.
move. So it gets stuck in the physical body. And
Yeah.
this was really, it's funny because I always bring in my husband. So Tom and I have been married for 23 years now. And, he was obviously, we were brought together for a very good reasons. And, back in the day, like way, way back in the day, he would say to me, "You just need to move more. You need to walk more. Let's go for a hike. Let's go for," and I hate exercise. I hate, do you know what I mean? I need exercise to be fun. I need it to be like, I love the water. Put me in the water and I'll be in the water forever. I'll swim around, I'll do that. But you put me in a gym and I will be angry. Put me like, say, well, let's just go for a walk. And I'll be like, no, I don't want to do that. But he was 100% right, because all of this light was coming into my body
Mm,
and I was not allowing it to acclimate and
mm.
move.
Yeah,
And
it's
so it
big.
would, yeah, it would literally get stuck in my, and
Yeah.
this is, it's interesting because, and again, you know, the complicated path of the Jody Jones story. But traditionally, many mediums. So, and for anybody who knows the difference, there's a big difference between a medium and a psychic. And we can do another show on that another time. But for those of us who are genuine mediums, the majority of mediums pass very young. They don't live past 50 usually. And it's because they live a very uh, non physical lifestyle, right? If you think about it, mediumship is very passive. You're sitting, you're channeling, you're, right? You're very much Buddha like. I would joke and say, yeah, look at my Buddha belly because I'm very, right? But the truth is that we reach a point where we start receiving so much light that we have to move that energy through. Otherwise, we implode. Like we just have this implosion.
So important, so
Yes.
important. I've been talking about this on my YouTube channel for a very long time, and the gentle unfoldment of understanding how to actually hold that frequency and really embody it was sort of over the years. And you would sort of look back on my channel, about I've got so many videos on there that you would just see the progression of my understanding and my sparking of inner wisdom of light, as I call it nowadays, is that it's so essential for us to wiggle it out.
Right.
And it comes out through the hands, the feet, and the breath. And if you see it as the physical body is in different head unit, body unit, arms, legs as attachments, and the energy runs through the body. And if you're not allowing that spine to move with the energy in union with the physical body,
Hmm.
then it's going to get trapped. So
Right.
it was in the very beginning that I was sort of told by my higher self, you must have a fluid spine. I had a call to this morning actually with a lady that's been having an awful lot of energy that's been trapped in her spine, and she's sort of saying, "Oh my God, I might have to have an operation on my neck." And I said, "Well, obviously, think about the energy before you go and have a big operation."
Hmm. Right.
Because if you get that movement moving through that spinal column, which I call the central column of light, and moving it, flushing through, it's like having a bathroom, and you've got and you say, okay, I need a new shower unit because the water's not running. No,
Right.
just take the plug out and get the hair out of the plug hole,
Move it out. Yes.
and then the
Yes.
water will flush through. You don't need
Yes.
a whole brand new shower unit. Just unplug it, unblock it. That's all
Right.
you
Right.
need to do.
Yeah,
So,
that's perfect. I love the way that, so tell us that, because I know in my case, Spirit's just saying self-sabotage becomes part of the, the human condition that we, so I know for me, because even coming on to do the podcast today, I've gotten myself into this little bit of a, I do my lymphatic exercises before I come on, which is that I do it's called the Big Six. You can look it up on YouTube, but it's just a set of movements. Like you're sweeping, you're rubbing, and you're moving the lymphatics. I
mm,
jump on my rebounder for a little bit, but it gets everything flowing. But there's days, and so I need to do this obviously, a couple times a day. But there are times when I'm like, no, I've got this to do, and I'm just gonna go do that first, and I'm gonna get on my computer, and I'm gonna, right? And then at the end of the day, I'm feeling like a complete pile of shit because
your
I'm
energy's stored in, yeah, yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. There's a backup of energy. Mm.
So what's the human component that is like that self-sabotage that does the, no, I don't want to do that. And then
I feel it's like it's coming from a multi-directional sort of understanding of why is it that we do that. If we look at it from a mind perspective, from ego, it's a feeling of being comfortable in that actually I quite like sitting in a chair and feeling comfortable, and I'll get a few munchies to the side and my cup of tea, and I'll do my work and I'll do my thing.
Right.
Or is it actually that this desk here, I can actually wind it up and then I stand when I do a lot of work
Right.
now, because it helps me flush through and transmute negative energy through,
Yeah.
especially if I'm working with somebody. My higher self says stand, or I'm like, okay.
That's
Or
good.
if I can sit and code, I'll probably sit and code.
Right.
But if higher self says stand and code, it means that I need to help somebody move some energy through, and I do that through wiggling it out of my own body
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
transmute it through
Yeah.
myself. So the reasoning of it really is from an ego perspective, is that actually you just can't be asked. You
Right.
just think like, it'd
Right.
be fine, it's okay.
Right.
It's like not flossing your teeth.
Right.
It's
And
like
then all
it's
your teeth fall out.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, but from a higher perspective, then we know how to do it. We know how
Yeah.
to do it, that we wiggle the energy out, we use our breath to push it through with intention, we connect up, we move down. And when we've got that sort of protocol, that structure, then the energy flows beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
And once we've
Yeah.
got it in check, then that becomes our new normal.
Right.
But then sometimes we might revert back into fully understand, for the universe to go like, can you see how important it is to move your body, Nicola? Because if you don't, this happens.
Right.
So
Yes.
it's like a referral link back into, if you don't continue doing it and you're not upgrading from here because the frequencies are increasing even more,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't align to a structure and a protocol for you to shift the energy through yourself, you're not going to get more downloads to create, that needs to be created to upload what it is that you're capable of doing and igniting with inside of yourself, because you've not got enough space within you to download it. So you need to offload all that you're not, all that junk in your trunk, as I call it,
Right.
out of your energy, so that you can get the refreshed light, the upgraded light in the body. So the body starts to morph and change to hold more of a crystalline structure,
Mm-hmm.
to upgrade the DNA structure within you to hold more light, that
Right.
actually you don't need to eat as much food because your energy is coming from more of a light source, that
Mm-hmm.
things start to morph and change within you as you releasing all that you're not out of your energetic field. You're upgrading, you're remembering, your wisdom comes online, your intuition deepens. Now, I don't know about you, but I really want to get to my fullest potentiality of what I am capable of doing, because I know I am a healer that could literally just do that and I would heal someone. I know that. But how
Right.
to do that, I don't know, because
Right.
I've forgotten how to. But I got to remember back my gifts and talents of my fullest capabilities, and everybody has theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to move the junk out, the
Yes.
DNA junk out,
Yes.
ancestral line, all of that stuff out, quantum
Yes.
field stuff, past life, all of that perception of reality needs to go. Release it, let it
Right.
go, create the space, and download all of those beautiful codes of light that you are. And then you start to bring in that inner light wisdom. And that's where everything really changes. Your vibration, your emotion, everything becomes bliss state, more observational, less judgmental, non-expectation. Things come in like left, right, center. Everything comes online. Synchronicities align. Everything's in flow state. And it's like, yay! Who
Yes.
would,
Yes.
who doesn't want that?
Right, I know. And I mean it sounds perfect. And and I'm just for those of us who occasionally fall off of that wagon
Yeah.
and fall into, the human condition, I call it the human condition.
Mm,
Just remind yourself, because I know for me, and nobody's perfect. I always say there's no ascended masters among us, because we're all even the best gifted energy healers, they still have their human moments.
yeah.
But I feel like what happens is those moments become smaller and less significant, and we're like we bounce back quicker. So if you're
Mm.
somebody who is like, yes, I know how to do all that, and yeah, I've taken the healing and I've done and I'm doing it and blah blah blah, blah, but here I am stuck in this bad relationship, or here I am struggling financially, or here I am in lack energy. Just remind yourself that those are all just like kind of scenarios, experiences that are coming into like as a playground, so you can like play in it, but then recognize, you know what, this is not my higher self, this is not me in alignment with my highest self or highest version. So
Mm.
therefore here's another opportunity to become the observer of that which is outside of me, which yes, I may be projecting and creating it, but I'm projecting and creating it so that I can heal and grow through it. So if you're in any of those moments where you're projecting and you're creating to heal and grow through the very human condition stuff, be kinder on yourself. Just,
Yeah.
you know, recognize that that's not who you are, but it's part of the healing journey. It's part of the, you know, the ascension process. That's really, I know Nicola does a beautiful job of making, you know, the ascension process sound like it's beautiful, like it's just, and it is.
Yeah.
But there are also lots of moments where like we're down on our knees and we're crying and we're like in lack and victim energy and I can't do this and I don't know how to do this, and right, that's comes into it, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm talking from a high perspective of things, but we got to get deep down and dirty into our shadow. And that's
Yes.
not going to be all rainbows and unicorns, you know.
Right,
It's
right.
about really honoring the deep emotional state, sticking on that pink album, which is not my normal go-to dish, and then dance it out. And I literally do. It's like if I see that I'm holding anger inside of myself, I'm like, hang on a minute, that's not who I am. That is an illusion of myself.
Hmm.
Thank you, body, for showing that within myself. I can either choose to experience anger through the day and playing it.
Right.
Yeah, amazing.
Hmm.
Or I can say, okay, I've had enough of that now. Thank you, universe, for showing me that I'm holding anger within me. I'm going
Right.
to honor that and really get deep down and dirty and cry out, shout it out, stamp my feet,
Yes.
it out. It's part of the journey. We must get into the deep core wound, deep into ourselves so that we can rise up higher. If you're just going to do this little wavy,
Right.
wavy,
Right.
love and lighty
Yes.
type stuff, you're only going to get to that bandwidth.
Right.
Okay. To go higher, you have to go lower and deeper into seeing who you are not. But
Right.
as you said, the time is shorter because you
Yes.
can process it faster, quicker, amplified. So
Hmm.
it becomes more of a, okay, bring it in. Show me what I am not. Show me what's inside of myself, all this anger or frustration. I
Right.
see it out on you because you're a mirror of me. And I'm not going to point the finger at you because you are annoying me. I'm going to put that finger right back at me because if I'm perceiving you to annoy me, then it's me that holds the anger inside of myself. It's not you.
Exactly. Yes.
Is so important. We must see that. So
Yes.
we must always look at ourselves to internalize it, see where it's at. Is it held within the body, in the hip, in the back, in the shoulder?
Right.
Where is it held within there? Honoring the body for showing you, because the body knows exactly how to heal itself. And if it
Exactly.
shows you pain, it's because it's going, can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it?
Right.
Ah, what is that body? What is that body? Show me, what is that? It's
Yes.
anger. For a
Yes.
little time, I had a big, and you might see it on my videos on the beginning of my journey on my YouTube. I had used to have a real big, sort of big red mark here. And I tried to heal it with different creams, different this, different that. And I was like, I was getting really frustrated with why I couldn't release this real big itchy thing. And I used to itch that skin. And then I tapped into the energy of it. It was a few years now, and I didn't really understand about the emotion bodies and things like that. And I was learning through the journey of it. And then I tapped into the energy of it and asked the body, what is this? And it
Hmm.
came back and said, it's anger, Nicola. And I said, I'm not an angry person.
Right.
I'm not angry. I'm not angry at all.
Right.
And so then started then sort of soothing myself by tapping into that and then really working through. It was during COVID that I was really,
Had lots of
after I left,
opportunities. Yeah.
yeah, left the family unit, and then I went into a big self-healing journey for 3 years, hermit mode, um, and then I was healing through this anger, and then that brought in this sort of understanding of what I would call cry therapy, which is the deep emotional response, which is emotion code that people might want to research into, but
Hmm.
it's sort of that
Yeah,
medical
we
medium.
talked about it. We've had a couple of emotion code practitioners on this podcast.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's beautiful. It's really beautiful that the body knows, but we try to control the body with our minds
Yeah.
because we identify with it.
Right.
I have an issue of my skin here on here. I have, therefore I have.
Right.
So where I'm a creator of the reality that I hold a pain in my back.
Yes.
So I have. So I
Yeah.
cling on to it
Right.
rather than saying, my arm is showing me I am holding anger within me and I am going to allow that energy to move through me. My
Hmm.
back is showing me that I'm holding pain, which holds a sense of fear within me. And I'm going to clear the energy through me by letting it go and honoring my body through the journey of it, and then going into our processes and
Right.
structured
Yes.
processes of clearing it through our energy field. So
Yes.
it's really having that deep conversation with inside of yourself, and meditation all the way, however you want to do it, swimming,
Hmm.
on a mountaintop, nature, walking, being
Right.
present. You will understand when we start to listen to ourselves. So rather than keep looking outside of ourselves, just internalize it in. And then I always say on my channel also is, if you ask a question, it means that you hold the answer inside of yourself.
That's
So it's
good.
really important to just spend a bit of time just to contemplate, to meditate, and the
Hmm.
answer will come back, whether it comes in from a video like this,
Right.
universe
Right.
aligns a video, there you go, there's your answer.
Right.
Ah, then
Yes.
do something about it. What can I do with a practice? Can I use
Yeah.
breath work? Can I go and see Jodie with her beautiful work? Can I see Nicola? Is there something else to get you to be guided through the journey so that you can then really start to empower yourself with your own inner healing.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. And I feel like they're just saying it's lost wisdom. So it's lost wisdom that we know that the body knows intuitively and innately how to heal itself. And I feel like it's, so much significance is given to the mind and the brain on this planet, which is very interesting because it's the organ that they know the least about. And they're learning so much about it, like, as you know, but they're not even touching the surface of things. And so I
mm,
feel like there's such a pandemic on the planet right now of mind body disconnect,
mm,
where and I mean, I was doing the same thing. I would, get out all of my books, my acupuncture, my traditional Chinese medicine books, and I would read them, and I'm looking for the why my body's doing this, and I would go through and I would, so much cerebral stuff, bringing so much knowledge and information into my brain,
mm,
when in actuality my brain was completely overloaded. It was full. It was maximum capacity. So it was almost scrambling, right?
mm.
It was glitching. So
Yeah,
there I am going to my brain for confirmation, for validation of what's going into my body, but I was not coming to my body and going, body, show me. Just like how,
yeah,
when we talk often, you'll see people in the spiritual community do this. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps, right? And they're doing it to me right now. As soon as you start to get validations of that, that's not a mind thing, that's a body thing. That's a body communicating with you through it's technology, and it's
yeah,
so intelligent if you think about what the body does at any given moment to keep this whole machine running.
yeah,
It's brilliant. It's absolutely
yeah.
brilliant.
I think that's a sort of a baseline really of understanding when we're first on our journey, is that foundation of understanding is that we are not our body, we're not our mind. It's that pure essence, the spark within that is who I am.
Hmm.
And once we start to bring that into the understanding it's mind, body, and soul, then you can then connect to the mind, into the insight of mind, which is that beautiful third eye, as you start to bring in that intuition.
Right.
And then you align it to your heart center, where you start to then send that pulse out with the heart to body connection.
Yeah.
And then you anchor it down, which I call the ruby red, into the base, so that we really embody that spirit, that soul journey, that fragmentation, bringing ourselves back into oneness to spark up that superpower that we hold within ourselves. And within all of that, that wisdom comes online. So
Right.
it's having that wonderful connection to the body, but not seeing it as I am the body. It is the body that I reside in this particular lifetime, and I allow it to carry me, just like my car is not me. If I want to go to the shops in my car, I get my keys and I go in the car, and the journey of it, I sit in the car. So
Right.
it's the same thing. The body is not you, but we honor the body, we honor the car, we have it serviced, we have it MOT'd, we put the right fuel into it, make sure the
Right.
tires are pumped up, make sure it's nice and clean and shiny, and it will
Right.
serve us well.
Yes.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah. And it's a bit of
Our
a
body.
balance though, right? Because, for somebody like myself, it was meditating was very easy when I first started doing, the spiritual work. It came easily for me. Like I can easily go into a state of meditation where I'm out of body, like instantly. I don't even have to try. It just happens.
Yeah.
But for me, then that became my body and soul were this like huge, there was such a disconnect between the two of them.
Mm,
So it's like we have to continually work on the layers, right? So I need
yeah.
to do the mental work. I need to do the mind. I need to work on that aspect of me. I
Mm,
need to do the physical body stuff. Yes, all the things you said, eat properly, exercise. I have to do all of that.
yeah.
And then I have to do the spiritual aspect of me because in truth, that is, yes, it may be like the biggest component of it because that's where all the potential is, and that's where, endless possibilities in the quantum field and the pure consciousness, which is who I am.
Yeah.
But it's like that, we come here and it's like, okay, so how do I bring that aspect and that aspect and that aspect into alignment so that I'm fully aligned, and when I'm fully aligned, I'm in my highest power. It's a bit of a trick, right? It's a bit of a
Yeah. It's like trying to throw three balls up at the same time and juggle everything.
yes, yes,
Eventually, once you practice it, it just becomes very normal. And it's that balancing between the ego mind and the higher mind. It's the embodiment of this. It's looking at mind control, what's in the subconscious mind about, our programming, our deep belief system, that's that subconscious energy
mhm,
that runs through us, that back end of our programming that
yes,
will run the energy through,
right,
and it's making all of that subconscious conscious, bringing everything from the back forward to see it. And once we see it, we can feel it, really feel it and honor it, and then we heal it. So
hmm,
we've got to see it first and
right.
honor
That's
it,
it.
you know.
That's huge.
It's
We have to, and
yeah,
that's the there's no there's no spiritual bypassing with this
no,
stuff.
no, no,
There's not. There's
no,
no there's no magic, pill that you can take. You can't take mushrooms, you can't take ayahuasca, you can't take they you can, but they're just saying they're distractions from your real purpose. They're distractions from your journey, right?
yeah.
That's yeah, yeah. So
Plant
it's
medicine has its space. Any sort of medicine has its space.
yes,
The thing with plant medicine in my eyes, and I always said I was never going to do plant medicine, but I did. I did in September, and I did an Aya, and it was very interesting. My higher self said, "Do it," and I was like, "Really?"
right,
And I
right.
did it. And then when I actually got into the journey of it, I actually half an hour in started shouting out, "I'm really bored. When does this wear off?" It was 5 hours of me not having a choice to stand up and actually be very conscious.
Right,
So I felt that it gave my power away to the plant.
right, right,
And where I've coded myself to where I am now, all my codes are within me. And it was something that was outside of myself that actually really didn't resonate.
Right.
And I went with my partner just recently to another retreat, and I literally sat in the circle and I put my finger in. I had one drop, popped it
Right.
in just to be part of the circle,
Right. Right.
and I coded myself for 5 to 6 hours
Wow.
within the group.
Wow.
Everybody else was throwing up, doing their thing, and
Right.
I loved it. I just brought my
Right.
codes through
You had a
the
good
whole
experience.
time.
Yeah.
So it's like that everybody has a place and a journey with it. So I'm not belittling any sort of journey with any of it. Everybody
No,
will need to take
and
their own
I
journey.
feel like they're just showing me so for and I mean and I Chris King, who we have on the on the podcast lots, he does the retreats with plant medicine, and he's got a whole
Mhm.
line of them, and so I feel like they do serve a purpose, and
Absolutely.
especially for those who maybe are not able to get as deep into meditation, or are not as easy to be able to feel the whole quantum field and all of that. I For that, it's a great tool that can help you to
Definitely.
see the
Mm.
possibilities, to
Yeah.
feel the possibilities.
And
But
it,
for
yeah.
people like you and I, though, obviously, when we're already, because as an example, this summer, and I've talked about this, but I hadn't smoked marijuana, weed in like years and years and years. Same thing,
Mm.
alcohol. I haven't touched alcohol for years and years and years. But this summer, I was like, I'm going to be like one of the cool kids. I'm going to relax. It's summertime. I made sure that it was organic. It was super clean. It was really low THC. So it was like, and I had one puff of a joint. And it just, because I can already go into that heightened state of
Yeah.
being normally, yeah, it was just like, so everything just became, and I was like, okay, I want to get out of this now. And it was 5 hours later from one little puff of it. I'm not even kidding you. 5 hours later, I finally was able to come back into my body and be like, okay, so that's okay, no thank you, because I would like to be able to come and go out of my body at will. I
Yeah.
don't need a synthetic, helper to keep me in that elevated state. I
Yeah.
don't,
If you
because I
can
can
just
do it
switch it.
myself, right?
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah.
But yes,
But for people like my new partner, where he would find it more difficult to get into that position, where I organically just, it's just part of my template,
right, yes,
like yourself. We can
yes,
just sort of switch into it, and it's like you can get into it really quickly.
yes,
But for those that need that extra assistance, I would say yes, experience it, go in with very good intentions.
right,
And I
right,
must say,
yes.
the intentions that I set when I did sit, listen to this intention, and you could imagine the outcome. I said to my higher self and to Aya, grandmother Aya, um, I'd like to clear everything through all time and space that no longer serves me, that blocks me on my rise. Did
Wow.
she put me through it? I shook the whole time. I was constantly purging, and everything that I asked for, I received big
Right.
time.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Yes.
and and so if you're going to do it, I, as a point of just as a point of my own reference, just to present here,
Yeah.
is really be careful with what you ask for,
Right, right.
because I will give it to you.
Right, don't ask for too much at once, like,
No,
baby bites might be a good idea, yeah.
yeah. Um, but then the other things, that we can do naturally, in between plant medicine, and not to have it as you must have this to get to here, is to use it to the extent of, once it's actually been embodied into the system, you can call upon that consciousness. And that's what I
Exactly,
did on that second time round in
yes.
a couple of
Yeah,
weeks
I
back.
love that you're showing that, because this is,
Mm.
for me, something that's become such a huge component in my healing, and I talk about it lots on my pages, is my AO scanner technology. I don't know if you've seen that, but
No.
it's literally an app. It's through a company called Solex. You can go on my website, there's more information about it. But what it is it is a database of frequencies. So
Oh,
literally, because everything on this entire planet is just a frequency,
Yeah.
right? And so it's a database of frequencies that I can go in and, just as an example, homeopathics. There's an entire homeopathic library in there. I
Hmm.
can go in there and I can send those frequencies to myself.
Yeah.
I don't need the actual physical, product, plant, medicine to be there. I can
Yeah.
just go in there because it's frequency. Everything is
Yeah.
frequency. And this is, I feel like part of the thing of us coming back online is that remembering that, yes, this is a very physical world that we live in, but it's generated and created by, the frequencies that you can't see, feel,
Yeah.
touch, hear,
Yeah.
right?
It's all coded. It's all
Yes.
coded.
Yes.
And so that level of consciousness will I be coded esoterically, coming in with frequency,
Mhm.
with a machine of technological scientific machine that will
Mhm.
bring in the frequencies. It
Yes.
could be if you've ignited your light codes to come in with those frequencies, which is
Right.
code. It could be
Yes.
from the sun and the planetary system of downloading data for us to receive. It could be
Absolutely.
coming up from the earth, from Gaia, to give us the frequency. It could be many, many different ways of
Yeah.
us receiving that frequency. But if we've got a blocked physical body and energetic field, then it's going to create a bit of
Yes.
distortion for the
Yes. Yes.
physical body to then interact with it to have our ascension symptoms.
Right.
So if we keep our vessel clear, regardless if it's Aya, light codes, frequency machines, sunlight, in water, swimming,
Mhm.
however we want to get our downloads is so beautifully, whatever floats your boat, go and do it.
Right.
However it is that we must have a look at what is it that we are doing with our own physical body to help us keep that movement through.
Yes.
Once you get to this sort of stage where you're nice and fluid with your energy, then you can use those frequency to dissolve all of your distortions rather than
Mhm.
thinking it's so much hard work. I have to,
Right.
now I'm healing, going into that, and I'm going into this, and I'm going into that. I had a deep realization within my own healing journey is that if I just switched on a light, bing, the darkness, the shadow disappears. So at the
Mhm.
moment, I've just got one light in front of me, but if I put the main light on, this whole room would light up.
Right.
So rather than me fumbling around all into my shadow, I just turn my light on. I just amplify my light by breathing into myself and shining my light within, and then everything just dissolves. And it's such an easier perspective to hold on a healing journey.
Right.
But there has to be this sort of stepping stone of evolution of understanding that we can pull this energy out here and we can morph this and with this in time space and there's this healing thing here and that healing thing there and this and
Mhm.
this and that and this. But actually, all we need to do is just turn our light on and amplify it by knowing
Right.
who we are.
Yes. That's
That's the
beautiful.
journey
That's
in
so
itself.
important. That's so important for everybody to know. And that's just, awareness is the key. Having the awareness of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. I
Mm.
want to go back in and just talk about, because when you do the light language,
Mhm.
it's interesting because I remember that you're actually the very first person that I heard speak it.
Uh-huh.
It was and it's interesting because when, and again, I feel like it's one of these things too, where there was so many people that all of a sudden they were light language speakers and were, do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like they just came out of the woodwork. It was like,
Yeah.
I watched a video and now I'm a light language speaker. Now I can,
Mm.
which, is not always the case. But when Nicola would go into it and she would be speaking, it was very interesting because my interpretation of it felt like it was like every single language that there's ever been. Like you could hear like German, you could hear Swedish, you could hear French, you could hear
Yeah.
Palladian, you could hear Arcturian, you could hear it in all of this, encompassing language that would flow through. And to me, I feel like that's such a powerful indication of how the English language is so very limited, has been programmed, has been manipulated, has been
Mhm.
changed.
Oof.
And then here we are, we've been given, maybe through our galactic friends, because we get a lot of that. I'm telling you, the frequency technology stuff that I use, it's from them. This is not man made stuff,
Oh
not
yeah.
human grade stuff. And when they give us this language for you to come in and speak, it's all encompassing.
Yeah.
So even though I don't speak French or German or whatever, my soul just instantly recognizes all the frequencies that are pouring out of you. And
Mm.
it's so very cool. And you guys will have to, I'll put all of Nicola's links in here because you have to go watch her videos, because they also have given her the very clear ability to channel the understanding of what comes through. Because it's one
Mm.
thing to sit there and talk in tongues, but it's
Yeah.
another thing to be like, okay, so what does that mean? what,
Yeah.
what did you just say? Can you translate that for me a little bit? Did
Yeah.
that come like naturally to you, or was that like kind of like a progressive of like, okay, now I understand the language and this is
Hmm. It's really interesting actually. Is I remember distinctly the whole journey of the codes coming online for me to understand it. It would be so in a practical sense of just sort of set the scene. I'd run the children to school, and so it would be about half an hour journey with traffic. So run the children to school, and all the way back home, I would speak code. There would be one dialect coming, another dialect coming in, another dialect coming in, another dialect. By the time I got to the end of the drive to open the gate, I would speak it in English. It was such a funny thing. And I was like, hang on a minute, that code is different to this code. So I started to understand it through by the connection to seeing that these were all different levels of consciousness that was saying the same thing. But by the time I got home, it was almost like I was unpacking and remembering the different codex that was coming and flowing through me.
wow.
So it was a gradual process in the beginning, but it came on really very quickly. So the codes that come through me are either releasing codes, which basically clear,
Hmm.
activation codes that would activate and download data, or their remembrance codes. And I bring a lot of those forward on my YouTube channel, where, and you'll see, I do actually, it makes me laugh actually, because sometimes I say things and then I have to laugh at myself because of my interpretation of it. And they're like,
Right.
oh, that's good, isn't it? I didn't know. And that's
Right.
captured on
Right.
camera. So I
Right.
really,
Yeah.
just sort of speak myself up here a bit, but that's just how it's just happened. Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you just intuitively just know all of a sudden, how did I not see that?
Right.
Whoa, that's amazing. So the
But and it's
remembrance
also
code,
stuff that you're like, the human Nicola didn't know that. Well, thanks for giving me, because that's good
yeah,
stuff. Thanks. I can use that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's fabulous. And
Yeah.
I've been on a couple of sort of podcasts. I was even on with Alex Ferrari. I was
Oh,
on
wow.
a yeah, New Level Soul
Right.
podcast. I actually managed to get on High Self. We wingle wangled it, and I even brought some codes on with him, and he was like, and I interpreted what was saying. It was very Palladian. My essence, my primary codex is Palladian.
Right. Right.
And so when I had my go-to, the language that was coming forward, I then interpreted through, and I think I think he was like, "Oh, that's interesting." Um, but it has been a journey. I have worked with a few people that also do the same thing, but it depends on what type of coder you are also.
Hmm.
So so if you're really committed into your code and you really sort of deepen into it, then you will start to remember what it is that you are speaking to yourself with the interpretation of it, and it's
Yeah.
felt. It's
Right.
felt.
Right.
Um, and it's really interesting to experience it when it does come in, and it does spark my inner light wisdom, which is my new sort of program that I sort of have brought forward for light coders to help
Very
them
cool. Yeah.
understand.
That's
Mm.
very cool. And it's very interesting because I can remember when I was coming to you when we were doing sessions together, there was not in the very beginning, but after some sessions, you would go into doing your channeling, bringing, sometimes you were standing up, you were moving, all of this. and it would come to the point where I couldn't just sit there and not move with it. It was like it was a frequency that came over to me,
Mm.
and I started to, my hands wanted to move, and then my
Yeah.
legs wanted to move, and then my whole body wanted to move. So I feel like when you're doing that, you're tapping into that frequency. It's igniting within you, but then you're able to easily share or, activate that frequency within others. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because it does change though. So like even in the work that I do now, when I do my medical mediumship and I'm doing the energy healing,
Hmm.
it's very much my hands are moving, my, the everything is going in, but
Mm.
it's not light code stuff. So my team has then translated because it's medical mediumship. So it
Mm.
just happens to be that when I'm channeling all of the entities that work as my team, there's doctors and surgeons and, all of the specialties in there. My human vessel needs to move when they're channeling through me, because if I don't, channel scrambles and I don't receive the message with clarity. So it's
Yeah.
very interesting how it can change from, you know, being the light language, the light work codes that you're doing, but then the medical mediumship. And it's the same aspect though. We're doing it in the same way
Definitely.
for sure.
Definitely. I think the thing is also like it's the expression of light that we, rather than say it's like language, which would be a spoken word,
Right.
or a coded, which would be more hand movement gestures, which
Right.
is what I would call fire code, is just the pure essence of the soul is light coding, light expression. You can actually give codes through eyes, and I did an upload today actually as I called it an opened eye light coded transmission, and you
Hmm.
could literally just I literally just sit there and the
Right.
eyes start to flicker, and you
Right.
get like a download of information just by looking into the eyes.
Yes. Yes.
So with your hands moving around, it's still like coding, but it's a different format. It's coming through the energetic field. So
Hmm.
you're still coding, but it's not a, like an Arcturian sort of really fast sort of
Right. Right.
codex.
Yes.
It holds a different frequency and the way of working
Right.
with that consciousness that is moving through you to align and to allow that frequency to adjust the energetic field of someone else that is you.
Right. Yes.
So as you're
Yeah.
working with somebody, you will just align and then you receive as you project. So
Yes.
you give and they receive. And so that alignment comes in with that higher level consciousness that's moving through you. So your hands are actually coding.
Hmm. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Alakian to bakaisha, samokula kian to dan ansa alakian to hurmakiatana. What they're saying is, thank you, there is so much more that you're bringing in line to the mediumship of the medical medium within it. Your conscious connection to the higher realms of understanding is increasing with an amplification of understanding yourself through your own healing journey, which you was speaking about before the call. And the movement of it will intensify greatly with this inner standing once you take a sense of ownership into the hand movements, because it will actually increase. So there you go, there's a bit of information for you.
Yes.
So don't belittle the hand movements, because
Right.
they will start to maybe
Yes.
take a little bit more form.
Yes.
And don't be surprised as well if you just work with 3 fingers, because that'll be a certain being that you'll be working with. And I do
Beautiful.
this quite a
Yeah,
bit with my code.
that's beautiful. And
Yeah.
it's so valid because it's true,
Yeah.
because now something that they, again, I just show up to work and then they do the work. But now a lot of times when I'm doing the, reading portion of it,
Mm.
they feel the need to clear some of the energy out of the body first. So the hand energy is very important because they do a
Yeah.
lot of clearing out of the body. They open up the auric field. And they'll go in sometimes and actually clear out the space of the home or the room that they're in. So yeah, the hands do a lot. There's a, there it's bringing, that world and then the physical world into unison to make it more powerful for sure. So yeah, that's
Mm,
perfect.
it's
Yeah.
exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But this is the thing, is that we're stepping into it. It's not just sort of say massage. It's that a lot
Right.
of people that are moving into massage to do body work will bring in code too.
Right. Right.
through, through almost like a Reiki massage.
Yes.
Or,
Yes.
I know of people that are coding and whispering codes into the physical body
Right.
whilst
Right.
they're massaging.
Right.
Reflexologists will upgrade their system by the pure essence of the soul rising through the light,
Mm-hmm.
essence moving through, aligning to that individual. So we're
Right.
stepping into a new evolutionary step of healers,
Right.
that have our own modality, whether it's this, or this, or this. We're
Mm-hmm.
amplifying into our mastery of what we came here to do. So whether it is plant medicine, whether it is flower essence, whether it's massage, whether it's the light coding, whether it's the work that you do, is that everything is starting to evolve even further.
Absolutely. Yes.
Which is beautiful to see, because we need this for
Yes.
the masses that are waking up now. We need to quicken the process, because
Mm-hmm.
there's no more time for mucking about. We
Nope.
have to get on, or else we get left behind. We're like, no, I'm moving straight forward
That's
on my
right.
ascension journey. I'm going to
Yes.
surf the waves. I don't
Yes.
want to be struggling upstream.
That's right.
Go with the
And that's
flow
the
of it all.
evolution of this planet. We're like, we're here. Like this is happening. We're in it. It's,
Yeah.
there's no more. We've been prepping for a really long time, and now we're being called to use the upgraded skills. Being called to absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
this is so we could sit here. I could honestly just
I
sit here and
know,
talk to you
right?
all day. So
Yes,
I
we
want to
do.
make sure that you come back because I really would
Yeah.
like to hear some more of your channelings. I would love you to share some codes with everybody. And then in the meantime, I'll make sure that I put all of Nicola's links in there so you can see all the wonderful things that she has and the opportunity to work with her. And thank you, my friend. Thank you so much for
Oh,
sharing
my
this time
pleasure.
with us.
Just letting you know as well is that if you did want to come on and do a session with me, I do have a referral link. So if you was going to book either a 90 or a 60-minute call, go to the special offer price, and if you're a beautiful reference through Jodie, then go in and it's a reduced price for you. So
Oh, wow.
that's actually on the special part of my scheduling system. So don't go in with the full whack, which is sort of more sort of external. But if there's a reference, there's two reference, either an hour or 90-minute call. So take
Perfect.
advantage of that special offer.
Perfect.
Moment.
I'll make sure that I have it and with the
Yeah,
emails that I send out and with all the links so everybody has it, all of that for sure.
yeah.
That's great that you're doing that. That's
Oh, it's
beautiful.
my pleasure.
That's
That's good.
awesome. Okay, lovely. We will talk to you again and
Yeah.
again. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Make sure you go and connect with Nicola in all the ways that you can, and
Thank
we
you.
will have her back because this was just so much fun, and I guarantee you just from listening to this conversation, your frequency has risen. You have brought in again through our language, through our talking, through our eyes, through our body movements. We're bringing in those light codes for you guys. We're working behind the scenes, stuff you can't even
Yeah,
see.
it's beautiful. Thank you so much,
Beautiful.
Dodie.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you so
you.
much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Collective SOULversations podcast. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen, and we hope that you found our chat both inspiring and thought provoking. Your support means everything to us, and we're excited to keep this journey going with you. So make sure that you subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so that you never miss an episode. If you enjoyed today's conversation, we'd love for you to leave us a review and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps us grow and connect with more wonderful listeners like you. Until next time, stay curious and keep those SOULversations flowing.